Hello children, welcome to our geography lesson number 4, air. Children, before starting with the topic, I would like to take you all back to the chapter 1 where we studied about environment and components of environment. Do you all remember it? Yes, it was the components of environment, that is natural environment was lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere and biosphere. Right, from which lithosphere, like if we consider lithosphere, we have studied in detail or more about lithosphere in chapter number 2 and 3 in Inside Our Earth, which was related to lithosphere, even Changing Our Earth, where we studied lithospheric plates and endogenic and exogenous forces. Right, so now we are going to learn another component of environment, that is air or atmosphere, which is surrounded, or you can say it is around the earth. Our earth is surrounded by a huge blanket of the air called atmosphere. Now, why it is called a blanket? I'll tell you. Just have a look at this. All living things, before telling you why we say it, why always it is referred as blanket. First thing, all living beings on this earth depend on atmosphere for their survival. Why is it so? Because it provides the air that we breathe and protects us from harmful effects of sun's rays. Now, how it protects us from the sun's rays, or without this blanket of protection, what would have happened? We would have been baked alive by the heat of the sun. You all agree with this, right? We would have baked. But at night also we would have got frozen during night. Now, just take an example. When you sleep, you take a blanket, cover yourself with the blanket and sleep. What happens? That the heat that is given out by your body doesn't go out. The blanket that you have taken protects, or it helps you to maintain uh, maintain the heat there, or warmth. You feel warmed because of that blanket, which doesn't allow that heat to go out. Same way, exactly same way, this atmosphere, this blanket of atmosphere does the same work like the blanket that we cover ourselves while sleeping. It doesn't allow the, or you can say it takes the heat and it preserves, it holds the heat so that during night when mm, there is no sun, we all do not feel very cold. And so only this is the reason why atmosphere is very important, which also helps us to survive during day, protects us from the sun's rays, but not, and even at night it helps us to protect us from severe cold, because the heat that has been collected, or heat that has been held by this atmosphere, it's been there around the earth, which keeps us warm. Let us see composition of atmosphere. Composition of atmosphere, if you are in the diagram, if you see nitrogen, oxygen and the other gases like argon, other gases, carbon dioxide. It also has some dust particles, helium, ozone, hydrogen. All these are found in lesser quantity. Okay, now here there is dust particle also mentioned. I said the dust particle. If you really want to see, really there is dust particles in the air. Just in the morning when there is the sunlight which comes through the window, or the small hole or a gap between the door, you see the air ray that comes, sun's rays that come inside, they all have some or the other, they all have, that ray has dust particles in it. Just observe it next morning when you wake up. So this, and these are dust particles we can see, but there are other dust particles, tiny dust particles, which we even can't see by with our eyes. Okay, now let us learn about nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most plentiful gas in the air. When we inhale, we take some amount of nitrogen also. But plants need a nitrogen for their survival, but they are not able to take it directly. So who helps them is the bacteria that lives in soil and roots of some plants. What do they do now? The soil itself, you see, soil is not packed or closed only, it takes to penetrate, water only penetrates through it. It only absorbs water, but it also absorbs air. So directly the soil absorbs the nitrogen from the air, and with the help of roots, it converts or it changes its form so that plants can use it. Now, the second most important or useful gas without which we human beings would have not been alive, that is oxygen, right? Because we need oxygen to breathe, and even green plants produce oxygen. Now this I'll explain you with this diagram. If you see the trees during the process of photosynthesis, what do they do? They give out oxygen. This oxygen is given out in the atmosphere, and this oxygen is used by animals and also human beings, right? So human beings, when they take in oxygen, what do they give out? They give out carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is again used by plants. So what happens? This Though oxygen is second most useful gas on the earth, but carbon dioxide is also another important gas, because plants use them to make their food and release oxygen. So what happens is the amount of carbon dioxide released by humans or animals seems to be equal to the amounts used by plants, which makes the perfect balance, right? But this perfect balance should be maintained, and how it has to be maintained, you just have to think over it. I'll just let you to the next slide. Now see, the carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere creates the greenhouse effect by trapping the heat radiation from the earth, so that it holds the heat, and it is therefore called greenhouse gas. And without it, the earth would have been too cold. It would have been too cold to live in. Okay, but now when it's level, if the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases due to factory smoke, car fumes, the heat retained increases the temperature. It will increase the temperature of the earth, and this increasing in temperature of the earth is called global warming. Now what happens due to this? The rise in temperature causes snow and coldest parts of the world to snow in the coldest part of the world to melt, and as a result the sea level will rise. What will happen if the sea level rises? It will cause floods in coastal areas, right? And there may be drastic changes in the climate of the place, leading to extinction of some plants and even animals in the long run. So to maintain the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen, though we feel yes, there are trees and we get oxygen, but you see the population is increasing day by day, the demand is increasing, the factory man is busy putting, changing environment. You have learned in first chapter, man modifies the environment, but during modifying the environment he doesn't realize that the oxygen that we are getting from the plants, we're just cutting down the trees. We shouldn't do that. Actually, when you're modifying the environment, we too have to see that the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide is balanced by planting trees, which is very, very important. If we plant trees, surely the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide would be maintained. Okay, children? We have learned the composition of atmosphere and the importance of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and even the negative effects of increasing in carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Next session or the next video will learn about structure of atmosphere.